What's good, ladies and gentlemen? I was coming in because I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Potentially could be disturbed during the podcast now. What an outrage. All right, let's share this out on Facebook. Let's get the party started on a Saturday afternoon. The Saturday Sanctimony. That's where I get into the podcast, and sanctimony is defined as the act of being morally superior to other people, and so that's. I'm going to break down my moral superiority on the podcast, and I will give my proselytization down from the throne of the federal outrage chancellor, and I will determine what is morally correct. Okay, we're live now. Live now, babies. Set it out on the Facebook. Big timing. How the fuck we doing? Saturday Sanctimony, babies. I'm definitely not going to make any gay jokes during the duration of this podcast. We here at Outrage TV in the Outrage Cast, the federal outrage chancellor is very sensitive to the issues of the LGBT community. Okay, and there will be no jokes about. There's nothing funny about a man inserting his penis into another man's butthole. That's totally serious, and we will treat it as such. Okay. Logan Paul had to learn this hard lesson, okay, when he joked about going gay for a month. And it's just unacceptable, okay? Because you can't go gay. Nobody ever goes gay for the stay in prison, because going gay is not a choice. You have to be compelled by your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I think that's the narrative of the LGBT community, that the good Lord above made them the way they are, and that's why they penetrate buttholes. That's the narrative, I believe.
It's so embarrassing.
You know what's embarrassing? When you barge in on my podcast like this.
You're racist.
It's okay because nobody's watching yet.
It's okay because I'm the prettiest part of this. You can't see me because I'm so black.
She's fancy as fuck. Fancy turtle, piggy unicorn.
Piggy unicorn, yay!
She sent me a random picture yesterday of a stuffed animal pig unicorn, and even a hardened, dastardly, cold-hearted bastard like myself, I couldn't help but think that the piggy unicorn was the cutest thing I'd ever seen. And but yeah, we're not going to make any gay jokes on the podcast today. We're going to have some solidarity for the LGBT community against the evils of Logan Paul and Kevin Hart, okay? Because gay jokes are never funny. And what's more important is we need to shed some light on the people in the LGBT community who are thinking about committing suicide or performing self-harm. Because that's what makes an entertaining YouTube show, is talking about gay people committing suicide. All right? I saw somebody responded to Logan Paul on Twitter. Why don't you, instead of being a bigot, shed some light on the LGBT community that is thinking of committing suicide or performing self-harm? And it's like, yeah, that's everybody's favorite segment on the YouTube show. You know. But yeah, I've had a good little morning here. What up, Mr. Potts? It was raining like crazy in LA last night, and I was doing some late night Postmates, and I got an order from the Pink Dot there for a bottle of Grey Goose, and delivered it up to the hills. And the GPS apparently fucked up and posted this guy's location like at an intersection between Mulholland and Coldwater Canyon, and it was like there was no house there. And so I called him, and he was trying to explain to me directions while I was driving in the rain, trying to make U-turns and figure it out where he was. And he eventually just said, "Fuck it, cancel the order." And I got a free bottle of Grey Goose, ladies and gentlemen. That's a good way to kick your weekend off. Getting a free tall bottle of that delicious, smooth vodka there. And so, not a bad start to the weekend. Had a pretty good set last night. Pretty good little sesh at the Fourth Wall there. And Fourth Wall apparently is opening a Hollywood division in East Hollywood and offering a little membership there to come and do the mics. $39 a month is a lot better than paying $5 every night, which is what I have been doing. But you got to pay your dues, ladies and gentlemen, to get up on stage and do your thing.
Pay your boobs.
And pay your boobs, apparently. I invest in my boobs. I do chest exercises at the Planet Fitness, and it's all part of a balanced portfolio. You invest in your quads there. You invest in your glutes.
Invest in your ass.
You invest in your biceps.
In your ass.
And asterisk pec workout intensifies.
And your ass. Sorry.
That's what I hope I'm inspiring people to do, is work out their chest on the Outrage cast here, because we're trying to be barrel-chested Americans, and that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. You got to make the women weak in the knees out there with your voluminous chesticles. Very important. Shame the devil and shame the communists with your chesticles. That's how it's done. All right. And it really sends the betas into a fury spiral. Okay, when you got the barrel chest, and you don't apologize for your penis. We don't apologize for our penises here at the Federal Outrage Cast. We have them, and we're proud. We're here, and we have our dicks. We're not going to cut them off. We're going to have our penises erect, and we're going to stand erect for the betterment of Western civilization. Okay, and despite the fact that I won't be making any insensitive gay jokes on the podcast, I will point out that we will not be putting our dicks into other men's assholes. At least not as a primary source of pleasure there. We intend to procreate and further the patriotic lineage here at the Outrage Cast, and we want to do that through traditional genetics and biology. What's up, Emerald? Emerald Crusade. Papa John's or Domino's? Domino's all the way, man. Papa John's, I don't know what's going on with Papa John's, dude. Their crust is a little lackluster. Okay? Domino's, they're nationwide. Okay, there's no limitations on where they are. I grew up in my small town in Oklahoma with a Domino's, and they put the little garlic powder on the crust now, and it's tremendous for as far as terrible chain pizza establishment service goes. So you go with the Domino's there. Justin Potts says, after you get the barrel chest, you got to get an American flag tattoo, so that way when you flex, it waves. Now, I like that idea. Preferably, some kind of, bald eagle, where you can flap the wings of the bald eagle with your chest flexing. Maybe Donald Trump standing on top of a tank, or flying on top of the eagle. I like that idea. Donald Trump with his comb over hair flapping in the wind, riding on a bald eagle, okay? And then the bald eagle is somehow shooting laser beams out of its eyes down onto crying SJWs. That would be optimal. We're riding on the back of these this Patriot featherdom here. What's up, Zarek? He says, is Donald Trump going to declare a state of emergency? I don't get what the big deal with asking for money for the wall. It's like we have a $700 billion defense budget. Is a wall not part of national defense? I don't understand how you can't just allocate $5 billion out of that $700 billion chunk in the budget to build a fence or a wall or whatever. It doesn't make any sense to me how you have to go and beg the Democrats in Congress to like completely go against their base, and by their base I mean the third world immigrants that they're desperately trying to import so that they can bust them around to states that don't require ID to vote, so that they can actually convince somebody to vote by bribing them with welfare. That's the Democrats' base, and they desperately want to keep that going. And so they desperately will do anything to obstruct any additional money for a wall. I don't see why we need any additional money. How about one less unnecessary military base in some obscure Middle Eastern country that has no effect on American interests? How about we close that shop up, take the walls that represent that military base and use those walls, use those bricks that make up that wall to build the wall here. How about that? But we would rather be the Team America World Police than actually have any kind of national sovereignty, which is very confusing, ladies and gentlemen. We would rather, pay to protect Israel, who already has their own wall, than to have any kind of protection in our own country. It's so absurd. But you know that walls are racist, okay? We can't blame Israel for having a wall or China for having a wall, because they're not white people, and so it's not necessarily racist if they want to have a wall. But if America wants to have a wall, different story. That's just a cascading slippery slope down to white supremacy, and we can't allow that to happen, ladies and gentlemen, because there's real Nazis out there. Did you see them at Charlottesville? There was like 10 of them. Okay, they had swastikas on. And Trump said he loved them. Oh, dude. Justin Potts says, I still don't understand why every president wants to protect Israel. Why? Who gives a fuck? Fuck them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the idea of having to protect our allies militarily. I get it if it's part of some like negotiation and trade deal, like we offer them military protection, they give us something else in return. But what are we getting in return from Israel? I haven't dug deep into the trade agreements between us and Israel, but it's weird. I don't know what they're providing us. But there has to be something they're providing us. There's, they must be, providing some kind of kosher meals or some kind of mathematicianship, something. Yeah, I don't like that idea that we have to defend our allies militarily. It's a little weird. Yeah, the banking system, California should just secede, Zarek says. I don't know how I feel about that. They just need to, get over the obsession with illegal immigration and get over the fact that the left can't convince regular Americans to vote for them anymore. Emerald Crusade says Donald Trump is threatening to remove FEMA aid to Californians that are made homeless by wildfires. Why should the federal government be responsible for giving money to people who lived near a bunch of flammable flammable wood? That's kind of an insurance agency issue. The federal government, get the fuck out of my life, federal government. It's not the federal government's responsibility to be a safety net for people who take risks. Which it is a risk to live around all that dead wood in the Hollywood Hills, because the federal whatever it's called, the land management out here in California, they don't allow routine forest fires to just happen. And so when the fires do happen, they burn through all that dead wood super fast and it becomes a huge disaster. Yeah, I mean, you can make the arguments that there's a disaster big enough that the federal government needs to step in with aid. And it's like, I mean, you could make that argument because they're already taking so much tax money. But, I mean, if people want to help, they can just donate their own money, which would be easier if they weren't getting taxed at such a high rate. But that's the trick that the federal government plays, and convincing you that there's some kind of justification for having this big authoritarian centralized state is like, look at what we did. We gave all this money to relief in this hurricane-stricken area, and it's like, yeah, the same thing could be accomplished through charities or through private donations. So you don't have to have a big redistributionary state apparatus to accomplish the same thing. It just happens to be done through force instead of voluntarily. But that's the thing with the government, is the seen and the unseen. There's things that get done through the federal government that it's like, if we didn't have a federal government, that would have never gotten done. And it's like, you don't know that at all, because once you get rid of the federal government, then everybody has extra money in their pockets that they're not paying to the federal income tax, and whatever people generally care about will generally get funded in society through supply and demand. So, I mean, you have to trust in people to make decisions with their own money instead of this bureaucracy that's laid upon the public, and we're going to force you to do these certain things because these are the most important things as determined by these psychotic politicians who they look like they should have died years ago, but they're surviving on the blood of the infants pumped into their veins. Nancy Pelosi and Bernie Sanders have propped up there. Justin Potts says, I don't know, man. They're already taking too much from taxes. I'd rather it go to aid rather than the unnecessary war budget or war on drugs. Yeah, you can always make arguments for what you think the federal money should be allocated towards. But ultimately, it should be an individual's decision what they spend their money on, and not that's how you know it's an inefficient system, is because we have to have all these arguments about what our money should go to and what it shouldn't. And then we have to just put up with whatever the federal government decides to do ultimately. Instead of making our own decisions with our own money, we have to, let our money be extracted from us into the tax farmers as we are the cattle. We let our milk get extracted from us to the government farmers, and then we're begging that they do something rational with it. And it's like, that's not That's not a good model for getting anything done consistently. You have to let people keep their own money and abolish the income tax first and foremost. Let people keep their own money and let people make their own economic decisions for what they want to spend their money on, and then everything would get a lot smoother and a lot more efficient because the supply would actually meet the demand. There would actually be a market response to things that happen instead of like something happens and it's obvious we need to allocate money towards that and we have to beg and convince the idiot politicians that rule over us to spend the money in that certain area. It's like it's an absurd way to run a country. Justin Potts says, right, but the fact of the matter is they're taking it from taxes regardless. If we could abolish taxes, fuck yeah, make it a donation system. But since it isn't, we have to play with the cards given. Yeah, but you say we have to play with the cards given, but we have no say in the play. I mean, that's the illusion of democracy, that we have a choice or that we have a say in what ultimately happens. The only people that really have a say are the lobbyists, the big corporations, and the big banks who are in the pockets of the politicians. Those are the only people that really have a say in this quote-unquote democracy. There's no actual public choice of what their money goes to and what it doesn't. Democracy is really tyranny of the majority. That's why it's hilarious when people on the left always cry out, "Oh, we have to preserve our democracy," and it's like, democracy is a terrible system. All it does is it ends up giving power to the monopolistic corporations that have government connections and the banks that have government connections. It just, they get the most sway. And if you can afford to buy a politician, that's the best investment you can make in a crony capitalist system. Because that's the only way you're going to get your influence legislated. If you're a regular citizen, you're just at the whim of whatever the big corporations and big banks want to do. And, you can go out and protest and think you're doing something, or you can vote and think you're doing something, but you're ultimately not. Because you see, 63 million Americans voted for Donald Trump, whose entire campaign was, we're going to build a wall. And we want to do something about this immigration problem. He won the election, and we still can't get a wall. Because democracy. So a lot of people voted for Obama because he was going to take the troops out of Afghanistan and Iraq. Turns out, nope. We're keeping the troops there, and actually we're going to layer on an additional secret drone program and stay at war constantly. A revolution takes place, to be honest. All right, Emerald Crusade, your comments got you banned there. You've been banned, Emerald Crusade. That's enough. If you want to comment on the ideas I'm talking about, beautiful. Or you can comment on my teeth here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this isn't about free speech. This is my house. This is my stream, and so I can determine who gets to stay at the party. That's called having standards. Nothing about free speech. You're free to speak however you like, and I'm free to kick you the fuck out of my party if I feel fit. So yeah, that's how democracy works for you. 63 million people voted for voted for the wall, and we get no wall. So that's how democracy works. And what's really influencing the decisions are the big corporations, big banks, and big politicians that are in the pockets of the politicians, and that's who really has influence. And yeah, I was gonna let the roast slide, and then he just kept repeating it over and over, and it gets annoying. And so you got to go in timeout. All right, put your nose in the corner and think about it. And perhaps you shall be let back in to the federal outrage commune at some point. But actions have consequences, ladies and gentlemen. The real world is not a free for all, and the federal outrage chancellor will make his determinations on a whim. And yeah, and comedians, when they have hecklers, a lot of times the hecklers get thrown out of the show. So, if you're not contributing to the discussion, it's my discretion. That's called discrimination. There's nothing wrong with discrimination. Everybody tries to demonize the word discrimination because you shouldn't have any boundaries or standards for who you allow in your presence, because you can't discriminate. That's bad. No, discrimination is like if you're married to one woman, you decide to only fuck that woman. That's discrimination. Or you decide to not be friends with a dickhead. That's discrimination, and it's very important. That's how, in a free market situation, you determine who you're going to associate with and who you're going to support. And so you don't need the government to give people licenses or have these regulations that, like, quote unquote, determine who the good guys are. No, you just let individual people make their own decisions about what's good and what's not for their own lives. And, that's ostracism. That's the powerful thing. If somebody's known as a cheater or an asshole or a scumbag, or you don't need a big federal state apparatus to tell you that they're bad. You can just exclude them from your own life and make the argument for excluding them from other people's lives and tell your friends. And then, your friend may own a convenience store and he's like, hey, you can't shop here anymore. And that's up to him. He can do that. And that's doesn't violate the non-aggression principle. Nothing wrong with that. So there's no equivalence to, you made the equivalence to, and I criticize the lefties. The left-wing people, there's nothing wrong with if they want to ostracize you, but what they do is they call and try to get you fired from your job, which I wouldn't do to Emerald because he's making these lame jokes. I wouldn't like dox Emerald and try to get him fired from his job. I wouldn't like write an email to YouTube and have his channel banned. It's just, hey, you're kicked out of the party now. And, that's a lovely thing called discrimination. That's, underutilized in society now because everybody's afraid of being accused of being discriminatory. Oh my God, he has preference. Justin Potts says, no, it's the equivalency of you going through and deleting his comments because of feels, LMAO. I didn't delete his comments. I just kicked him out. I don't see what the problem is with that. If I'm having a party and some guy, and I'm, and a bunch of people came over to watch me talk, and one guy keeps saying, hey, what about your teeth though? Talk about your teeth though. You look like Goofy from Looney Tunes or whatever. I'm like, Get out of here. You're distracting from what the fuck everybody's trying to do here. It's the same as a comedy show. I could roast him back if I want to, or I could, just kick him out of the show because it's my show. If he was a comic and we were hanging out after a show and we were roasting each other, then yeah, I'd roast him back. But I don't know what he looks like. I don't know the guy. He's not my friend. I roast my friends. I'm not going to roast some guy called Emerald Crusade on the internet. All I see is his username. I'm not going to go and investigate some shit to roast him about. It's just not worth my time. So, bye-bye. Agree to disagree. I don't understand what your point is. You think that I got triggered by his comments or something? It's just unnecessary. It just, what are you what are you contributing to the discussion? It's like, if you want to make a joke about my take on something. It's like, your teeth though. Okay. I have a big nose. I have big front teeth. What does it have to do with anything? Your crooked nose, though. I get the little. I think this happened when I probably broke my nose when I was playing basketball at some point. What's the whole point? Yeah, what does it have to do with anything? You're just being annoying. That's my point. You're being annoying and you're not contributing anything to the discussion and you're distracting me. And so it's like, bye-bye. Don't need you. We won't miss you. And he made some irrelevant point about Trump not allocating federal money to the wildfire victims. That makes Trump evil, that he's not, allocating federal money to the, he's trying to get federal money to, help California a lot more than that by cutting off the illegal immigration pouring into the state and flooding the welfare system and whatnot. What's up, Mr. Kashava? Posting in different languages and shit. Probably making fun of my teeth in different languages. You bastard. How's everybody's Saturday going? I saw the Fourth Wall Comedy Club is start opening up a new Hollywood wing, and so it's a little bit closer to me than going up to the North Hollywood division. Oh, Kashava. Nitai, in the language they speak in the upper planetary systems. Oh, you intergalactic man, you. Ooh, you man of the universe. All right, so let's see let's see if I can bring back the beloved Emerald Crusade here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't even know how to bring him back, because we desperately need some more jokes about my teeth, and you know, it's troubling. I miss the jokes now. Not within walking distance, unfortunately. That would be nice if I had a mic that I like to go to within walking distance. All the mics around here, local in Hollywood, are just like lotteries, and you got to sit around and wait and hope you get on stage and shit. It's lame. I can't be involved in that. You were watching Apprentice last night? You mean the Oval Office speech? That's what it seemed like. The Oval Office has turned into the Apprentice. Trump's administration has kind of been hilarious. How many people have been hired and fired? It's pretty much like the Apprentice. You know, you gotta have balls of steel to remain on the Trump administration, and most people cannot handle it. Just like people can't handle Logan Paul or Kevin Hart's gay jokes. Horrifically offensive gay jokes. But somehow, you know, they haven't been banned off of social media, despite their egregious hate speech. I thought hate speech should get you deplatformed, according to the rules of Alex Jones. We should give who tenure, like liberal professors? Zadek. You know, I've heard Tulsi Gabbard's name a lot, and I don't know much of anything about her. Is she a Republican? Or Democrat? I don't know anything about her. Longest government shutdown ever, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Now, if we could just shut it down even further to shut down those income taxes, that would be tremendous. Okay, Tulsi Gabbard's a Democrat. Yeah. Yeah, the Dems don't have anybody, man. It's really pathetic. They're probably going to end up running Hillary again. You know, Elizabeth Warren, I can't even believe she had the balls to announce she's going to run after that Native American debacle. Never gotten money back from income tax. That's you know, I've gamed the system a couple times. Not really, but I've had my taxes taken out of my paychecks, and then I get a return. But that's not exactly getting money back. That's just, you know, you've already paid in, and so they give you a little gift there once a year. But not anymore, because I work Postmates. I have to file a 1099, so my taxes don't get paid out of my paycheck. Oh, what's up, Jamie? She finally made a YouTube account. Yeah. Happy Saturday out there. That's my lovely mother there, Jamie, back in Oklahoma. How's Cody doing? She's got a you know, She's got a wild ass golden lab puppy running amok and chewing everything in sight. Let's see, Zarek says the robber takes 1,000 from you, gives you one back, and tells you how merciful he is. Yeah, the rulers, they're so benevolent. They gave me a gift back, and I'm just so thankful. Yeah, that's how that's how they curry favor. There's the roommate making a weird face as she comes across the screen there.
I got paper towels.
She got paper towels.
And TP.
We were totally out of the paper there.
Because someone poops too much.
That's not why.
It's me. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Oh, my mother's defending me against the trolls now in the chat, and that's how I like it.
Are you serious? Mom's amazing.
Somebody said I had teeth, buck teeth like Goofy.
No, you don't.
I know. It's just the camera angle.
You're just jealous.
It's just the camera angle, and I banned them from the chat, and everybody.
Why would you ban them? Let them talk shit.
And everybody else was saying I was overly sensitive.
Yeah, you are.
Because I banned them from the chat.
No, that means more about these things you can tell us your face.
But I'm saying like if it's like a comedy show and I'm goofing on whatever I'm goofing on, and then he's like, but your teeth though, and I'd be
let him be an idiot.
and at a comedy show I'd be like, get him the fuck out of here.
You ignore them, or you give them attention.
Well, he's ruining the experience for everybody else.
Oh my God.
I take very good care of my teeth, and I want to be acknowledged for it.
You're so stupid. Go away. Go back to your seat. Sorry to interrupt the audience. Sorry. I'm selfish.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
The guy says dude more than he says my name. That's crazy.
See, Justin Potts feels vindicated now that Heaven agrees that I shouldn't have banned the Emerald.
Well, Heaven knows best, so duh.
My mother says it's the angle, and I fully agree. Oh, I should do a full stream about how my teeth look from different angles.
No, you shouldn't. Hi.
Don't be insensitive to the gay community.
I'm talking about cigarettes, genius.
Okay. Because that type of activity can get you kicked off of the Oscars from hosting, okay?
Yeah, because they don't like cigarettes. They're anti-nicotine. That sounds mean.
Oh, yes,
Really?
that's what it is. They're anti-nicotine. They're anti-cigarettes, as am I.
No, you're.
And I want to give a public service announcement out to my mother there to stop smoking cigarettes. Justin Potts as well. Shame on you. You're damaging yourselves, and it hurts me. Okay, it hurts me to see it. Yeah. Cigarettes took down the great Bill Hicks. That's why I'm extra sensitive to it. Bill Hicks had a lot more work to do. Died when he was 33 from pancreatic cancer because those goddamn cancer sticks. And I don't think it's worth it. I need to get a new vape though, because this thing is just
Pointless?
The pods are way too goddamn expensive, and I end up having to like deconstruct them and try to refill them and shit.
Let me let you guys know how quick he goes. A pack of 4, he goes through in 2 days. 2 days, and that's being generous.
I have lots of creative work to do.
No, he smells like a fucking chimney. If he had like 9 of them, it still wouldn't be enough. And he's anti-cigarettes, but not anti-nicotine. Beware.
Nicotine's good.
But cigarettes are... You can do American Spirits. You're an adult.
American Spirits are tobacco.
But it's still nicotine in cigarette form. It's
Yeah.
organic.
Nicotine doesn't give you cancer.
Okay, if any of you agree that he is still addicted to cigarettes, he just chooses not the actual cigarette version, say aye. Aye!
Nicotine is good, you know?
You're just dumb, but whatever.
Nicotine is wonderful. You gotta find a delivery system that won't have you dropping dead.
But don't be bashing on people who smoke cigarettes when you're the nicotine, you're the chancellor of nicotine.
No, It's a choice, and some people get away with it. Yeah, it's kind of a badass risk there.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you're rolling the dice.
Hypocrite.
I am a gambler. I did throw away your cigs when I was little, and you know, I feel justified. Okay. That was before the time of widespread vaporizers, and you know, in hindsight, I give you a pass, but you know, the vapor is widely available now and just as satisfying. Perhaps if Bill Hicks would have had vaporizers instead of cigarettes, we would still have a comedian out there speaking truth to power. And none of the comedians do that anymore because they all want to curry favor to the social justice left, and so that they can get Netflix specials and make deals with the devil, and because they don't want to talk about anything important. But if you're like Joe Rogan, you can hint at important things, but then apologize to the audience for maybe possibly offending them in between each one of your jokes. And you know, it's pathetic. There's no real comedians I see, especially I'm coming up in the LA scene. I'm basically the only one who talks about anything political or anything reality based when it comes to politics, or makes fun of the social justice left, or like the attempted communist warmongering takeover of Hillary Clinton. Like nobody else sees the hilarity in, you know, the stupidity of that side of the debate. They all want to like cower and like, you know, they don't even make Trump jokes. I haven't even seen a lot of Trump jokes. Like people are just scared to talk about anything political because they're going to get some kind of blowback, and you know, that's a huge market opportunity as far as I see it. But whether or not I can go through the traditional channels, speaking truth to power like that, yet to be seen. So for now, I'm going to keep trying to work my way around the system, keep doing the live streams, and you know, just find cool comedians on the periphery, and oh. That's because Hillary talk will make you suicidal. Exactly. You know, they'll find you hanging on a doorknob and then wonder what you knew about Hillary Clinton. He did have that new hilarious bit about how evil Hillary Clinton was. He suddenly took up a prescription pill and hard liquor habit. Interesting. What did Bill Hicks know about Hillary Clinton? What did Heath Ledger know about Hillary Clinton? These are the big questions. All right. What did Michael Jackson know? Okay. What did Anthony Bourdain know? Anthony Bourdain is an interesting one. He was like explicitly talking shit about Hillary Clinton right before he was found hanging from the doorknob there. And you know, we don't get conspiratorial here on the Federal Outrage Commune, but you know, we ask questions. Yeah, she's a dangerous woman there. Definitely, I think she is going to run again just because she's so psychopathically power hungry, and she has no connection to people's actual perception of her. And yeah, anybody that just laughs about horrific death, like like when they toppled the regime in Libya, and then Gaddafi was like graphically murdered on a video that was like leaked on the internet of him getting like, you know, sodomized with a musket and shit. It's like, and then she just laughing in this interview, like, we came, we saw, he died. Anybody who laughs about death like that, there's something detached in their head, where it's like she obviously hasn't been in any kind of combat situation, or like she hasn't, you know, really dealt intimately with death, and so she has this blasé attitude about it. So that right there is a piece of evidence that, you know, if you try to obstruct her politically, she may not stop at any you know, moral obstruction to get past you. And yeah, I don't know. The Dems have no chance against Trump in 2020. It's just hilarious. They're gonna run Hillary again, Bernie again. Probably he's gonna be running 107 years old. What's her name? Elizabeth Warren. Like, I can't even believe she had the balls to announce a run, like, after the Native American debacle. Like, and she came out and tweeted to Trump like this victorious tweet. Like, they're so detached from reality that you're like 0.000.25% Native American, and that's like vindication, you know. Pocahontas vindicated. So she doesn't have a chance. And who else do they have? Social media. Oh yeah, she drinks beer on live streams. She's so relatable. Oh man, she drinks that white man fire water. Now that's ballsy with her genetic makeup to be drinking that fire water on a live stream. Now that's commendable. Okay, she may be able to take on Donald Trump. Yeah, I don't think the public was ready for social media either. That was I was listening to this guy Jonathan Haidt talk about the difference between Generation Z and the millennials. My generation, the millennials, I was born in 1990, so I had 10 full years before the internet hit, and so I actually had, you know, a pretty normal childhood, going out and getting into mischief with my friends in the neighborhood, and going and playing football, and, you know, pick up basketball and all whatnot. But these Generation Z kids, they just grew up like being insulated in their houses, and you know, with these helicopter parents and video games and the internet, and so they're just totally detached from reality, and they have no sense of you know, negotiating with their friends, or like talking shit to each other and like not getting offended, and like they don't have any, you know, practical sense of that. So they're like, it's all this safe space, and you know, trigger warning, and they expect to be treated by the federal government as they were treated as a little kid by the government or by their parents, which is what socialism is. It's treating the government like your parents. It's, oh, I need to be provided for. I need a living wage. I need all this free stuff, which is like, it makes sense if you're an infant child to get all this free stuff, because you can't get anything for yourself. You should be provided free stuff if you're an infant child. You should be provided some food and water, and, you know, and whatever. But once you're an adult, that's called the disaster for a society, when you give people free stuff and give them no incentive to actually work and better their lives. You're going to have a miserable population, which we see now that everybody's on antidepressants, Everybody has a social anxiety disorder. Everybody's all, whacked out and, like getting fired up on social media and had anger issues and all this shit. When you don't have an incentive to better yourself, you're just going to get stuck in that loop of like, I need to be provided for. Why isn't the government providing these things for me? And that's the socialist mindset, is they're stuck in infancy and they want the government to be daddy. And yeah, it's really a sad state of affairs when so many people have been propagandized to accept people like Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders, who've never worked a job in their life, and they're like, we're going to tell everybody how society should run. And it's like, you're a fucking psychopath. But yeah, socialism makes sense if you're a toddler. But if you're an adult, you recognize you need to try and fail and get better and learn as a human being, and then you can actually develop some self-esteem and acquire some skills that are actually valuable to the market and to other people. But if you're in the socialist mind state, it's not about acquiring skills, it's about acquiring stuff that the government gives you for free, and not having any conscience about where it came from, or it's just free. There's no ethics about, who it was stolen from, or, how much debt the country is going in to provide you with all of this shit. It's like, it's just here. Thanks. And that's the moron attitude that's facilitated by, the propaganda in public school and in college, because that works in the teacher's benefit. If, we need more money for education, and it's like, you mean we need to steal more money from other people through taxes and forcibly shove it into this government-funded school system that's like all based on this common core idea of like avoiding anything useful that we can teach you to actually be self-sustaining and create a company, or like anything about free market capitalism or entrepreneurship. No, it's about the government fixes everything. That's the historical textbooks, that you're given in public school is like big disaster in the free market, or like people fighting that was a big disaster, and then the government came in and saved it. All right, we needed an amendment, and the government saved it, and the government brought us out of the Great Depression. And, the government, created this Federal Reserve and stabilized the banking system, and don't pay any attention to the dollar being devalued 98% ever since the Federal Reserve was instituted in 1913. It's more government power and we'll be okay, all right? And, and as I was talking about on the stream the other day, it all, like, the big lie that they have to get you to accept is the political spectrum, is that all the way on the extreme right is Nazism, and all the way on the extreme left is communism, and the best place to be is right there somewhere in the middle with a lot of government and crony capitalism. But totally untrue. The Nazis were leftists. They were big government authoritarians on the left, and Hitler was a vegetarian, a failed artist, and he couldn't get laid. Okay, does that sound like a right winger to you? No, that's a soy boy, progressive, communist hipster, which Hitler was. The National Socialist Party, they were leftists. And so what they really don't want you to know is the further right you go on the political spectrum, the less government you have. So the real spectrum is more government to less government. And the further right wing you go, the less government you have, the more freedom you have. They don't want you to think about it in that way, because the further right you get, the more freedom you want, the smaller the government you want. They want to be able to lump you in with Nazis. So if you want freedom, well, you're almost a Nazi there. More freedom you want, the closer you are to potentially being a Nazi, okay? Are you alt-right? because alt-right applies to libertarianism and Nazism. So be careful there. You're bordering on genocide when you say you want free market capitalism. Okay, that's because the people who are receiving government benefits, if you have a free market capitalist system where you have to provide value in order to survive, that's essentially genocide for them, because they can't provide any value in the free market. They don't have any skills to offer. So if they're not getting government money, it feels like a genocide to them, because like, oh my God, I have to actually work for my money? It feels like a concentration camp. No, you know. So to the infants who depend on the government, trickle down milk from the government teat there, if you make them actually provide some value in the free market, well, that's essentially genocide. Okay? I need to shave my mustache like this. Did Hitler have buck teeth? We need a final solution to the free market capitalism problem. Okay? No, oh, dude. I wish I could unban the guy now. I feel bad. I thought I was actually just making myself laugh banning him. I've never banned anybody before, and I kind of wanted to do it just to exercise some lovely, delicious discrimination here. And I don't know how to unban him. So Emerald Crusader lost off, and he'll have to think about those goofy jokes for the rest of time, I think. The Federal Outrage Commune, the Outrage Cast, we keep on chugging. My mom thinks he deserved it. Oh, that's the final say right there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, Zarek says they don't want you to be self-sustaining. They need your dependency to function. Yeah, that's why you see the American Psychological Association coming out and saying that masculinity is harmful. Okay, because that's the number one threat to keeping people dependent on the government, is we have to convince men to hate themselves and not be masculine and not be self-sustaining and not criticize the government. Because that's the biggest threat to a big government is a healthy, strong population of men who don't hate themselves and have guns and have families. So as long as you have healthy-minded, self-respecting men with guns and families, you're not going to have a big giant government, because people won't need it. You won't have all these single moms who need welfare. If they have a husband, they don't need the government to give them welfare. They don't need this big redistributionary state. And
they have a good husband.
And then, if they have a good husband that provides for them, they will want lower taxes as well, because then that's more money they're seeing for their family overall if their husband doesn't have to pay all this money in taxes. And so that's why you see those two things happening at once: the government getting bigger and masculinity declining. And we have to demonize masculinity if we are affiliated with a government organization in order to attain more power and grow the state more. And so do your squats, ladies and gentlemen. Do your squats and eat your steak, and we'll keep that government small. Or we'll hopefully try to hack away at the overgrowth that it has become. Unfortunately, we do have the biggest government the world has ever seen there. And even with Donald Trump at the helm, the guy who's famous for saying "you're fired," we cannot seem to cut any of these government agencies. Yeah, it does thin the herd there. I mean, if being masculine is always going to be attractive to women. So no matter how much they demonize it, no matter how much feminism tries to come out and say toxic masculinity, no matter how much the beta males come out and say, oh my God, he's such an asshole. How could you be with him? Girls are going to be attracted to masculine men either way. So, biology gets the final say. It's really up to men to, stop looking at porn, stop watching video games, stop wasting their fucking time and better themselves and not buy into the propaganda that women want a nice, placated, soft, beta nerd boy. That's not what women are attracted to, and eventually they'll figure it out. But unfortunately, the propaganda machine is constantly churning. And it's a lot easier to just buy into the propaganda and just lay around and play video games and be lazy and smoke weed than to actually recognize what's happening, see through the propaganda, and go through the hard work of failing over and over and over to better yourself and get skills. So most people aren't going to be willing to do that, but the rewards are, tenfold over for the people who are willing to do it. So, all the more incentive for kick-ass, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I think I've gone a little over an hour here, and I really got to pee, and I don't really want to keep live streaming my my urination on the podcast. I think it's very unprofessional. So yeah, I'll probably go ahead and shut it down for today. Thanks for watching. I'll post up some Instagram clips, but it's our anthem. Yeah, the Federal Outrage Chancellor's flow. Da 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 da. Wow. I do appreciate the allegiance to the flow sounds there, but I will spare you today of it. I will be posting some clips up on Instagram. Nick Jordan himself. I'm gonna dig back through a couple podcasts and post up some of the riffs there, and yeah, you can listen to the full audio of any of the shit on all the podcast apps out there and iTunes and whatnot. At Nick Jordan himself on Instagram. At I am Nick Jordan on Twitter. And yeah, like it if you like it. Share it out. And my mom agrees that it's I should keep the urination private there. All right, brother. I'll catch you later, Justin Potts. Yeah. So like it if you like it. Share it if you want to share it. And subscribe to the channel. And